Hello everyone, Burb here. The Halloween double banner has released, and while we did Agnes Digital Halloween yesterday, let's complete the banner by talking about Meisho Doto Halloween. As per usual, we'll go over the banner briefly, then we'll get right into the mechanics of the character. For the banner, if you're an Oshi player for Meisho Doto, I always say you should pull for the characters that you enjoy. This particular Meisho Doto trades out her unique that is basically track agnostic because all you have to do is pass somebody for some acceleration. It's kind of like a secondary excel for consistency in mainly those medium and long tracks. She has a velocity unique that's very good on those two styles, and she has very good gold skills. She has an innate gold recovery, and she has neck and neck, which is normally found on utility cards and not speed and wit cards. So having it is actually a rather large advantage. Now, she is not top of the meta because she doesn't give anything that really any other characters are not able to have. She just simply is a very good medium and long horse. You can stretch her into miles. We will talk about that. Again, this is a double banner. If you liked Agnes Digital and you like Meisho Doto, usually you will find one along the way and pity the other, so you have additional value on this banner. With that out of the way, let's talk about Meisho Doto Halloween. For Aptitude, she is particularly a medium and long horse. You can force her into mile, although, like I said this time, her unique isn't necessarily built for that. She is a natural pace chaser. You can go and make her a late surgery with late B. I find it's going to be very difficult, except on very long tracks, to go and make her an end closer and proc her unique consistently. But particularly mediums and long turf tracks, as a pace chaser, is generally where she was intended to be. She does have Dirt Aptitude E, do take note of that, which is a lot higher than most characters in the game, but it's not necessarily enough to go and one, make parents, and two, to naturally go and make Dirt A all on its own. Okay, so probably pace or late surger in the medium and long turf track distances is where her niche is going to be. For her stat bonuses, she has 15% power and 15% wit, which may be enough to go down to solo wit card in Grand Live. However, because she has neck and neck, there isn't really a skill that you kind of use a utility card for, so you're probably still running the 3 speed 2 wit deck. I guess you could try 4 speed 1 wit, but I don't really see a reason why to do that. So just the only thing that this really helps out with is when you are putting Super Creek in your deck, you have two options. You can 2-1-2, or you can 3-1-1, basically 3 speed, 1 stamina, 1 wit. That's really the only situation where this 15% wit bonus is going to make it a unique deck building experience. Otherwise, you are kind of using the same Grand Live rules for your deck building. For her unique Spooky, Scary, Happy, it states increase velocity and very slightly intimidate up to 2 runners ahead and up to 2 runners behind when positioned towards the front upon entering the final straight. There's a few conditions to this one. They are not too complicated. Is last straight one time is a pure snapshot of when the last straight occurs. So you have one chance at this. You must satisfy all other conditions of the unique in order for it to proc, but if it does, it will proc exactly at the start of the final straight. In situations where it's a medium track or longer, usually there's very few that are exceptions to the rule. As long as the spurt is sufficiently far enough away from that final straight, this unique will not get eaten by the Excel drone at all and will have full value. Now, in situations mostly on miles and sprint tracks, it's not every single one of these, the spurt is very close to that final straight, and part of it will be eaten because this is a velocity unique. So mainly, again, this is another strike in the category for she's kind of intended for most of those mediums and longer tracks. Otherwise, the only other condition you need to satisfy is you need to be 4th or better in CM or 5th or better in League of Heroes because it's order rate 40% or better. Now, do note this also works in first place. So anywhere from 4th place to 1st place, it's kind of like Barcarolle of Blessings in that as long as you're 4th or better, you will proc this unique. And what you proc is a 0.35 target speed increase for 5 seconds, along with a debuff The debuff will hit the two Umas in front of you and the two Umas behind you. If you look at the situations where you're actually proccing this unique, in worst case, you're in fourth place. In best case, you are in first place. So if you are in fourth place, it will not go and trigger on the lead horse, which means you don't necessarily get value from this because you're trying to chase down the number one horse. And of course, if you're third or better, you do go and trigger this on the front two horses, so you can kind of add this to the value itself. The other thing to note is that it kind of depends, and behind you, you don't really have much control, but it does only affect enemies, so it kind of will most likely hit the late surger or possibly the end closer that is closing in behind you as well. So I think that it is good enough to assume that we can add an additional 0.05 current speed debuff to your target speed increase in terms of value. I think that besides the fourth place position, you are getting basically full debuff value from every single relevant horse. I don't think there's going to be there's not going to be four horses, surely, that all hit and are faster than you in this case. So we're going to go and say it's a 0.35 plus a 0.05 for 5 seconds for a 0.4 times 5, equaling a 2.0. Tripulse, of course, is a 2.25 distance unit, which means this is 88% of a tripulse, which is slightly above the standard average for those late race skills. Now, it kind of gets shredded a little bit for the unique inherit. The current speed debuff is cut in half, but the target speed is a standard 0.15. It's not 88% of a tripulse. It is much less, but basically it is, let's see, 0.45 plus 0.025. It's like a 0.525 rather than a 0.75. So that's what, like 65% of a tripulse. So you're not necessarily 100% looking for this unique in terms of your inherits, but it isn't necessarily that bad for those longer tracks, particularly because it does work in first place, but with the buff of other frontrunner uniques, not the premier ones themselves. For her career, she does have a medium career with two flexible goals with the fans. So you need 6,000 fans, you need 15,000 fans. Normally, this will be some G1 and some G2, and that G2 and G1 can be really of your choice. Of course, you can do two G1s. You can sometimes stretch two G2s. It's a little risky if you do lose one of those, but otherwise, she is a 9 goal Uma. So most likely you will be running 9 races. So it's much lower than a lot of the Umas in the game. Do note she does have a career story event basically that once you run your debut, you do get the not ready status, which is a chance, I believe it's a 50-50 to lose 5 energy after doing a race, and you will have to do a race, at least 2 of them, so most likely you're just behind by 5, but you do get some additional all stats. Oh no, sorry, those are standard rewards, but this is just an additional story thing. It's not too bad in this one because you're not really running additional races, so you're just behind by 5 energy and it's not that bad. For her secret event though, Triumph, I'm the Overlord, you basically go and run Tiamat O's career, and while it does look like a lot of races, the Satsuki Show, the Tenno Show Spring, the Takarazuka Keenan Senior, the Tenno Show Autumn Senior, the Japan Cup, and the Arima Keenan both in Senior Hero as well. 4 of those are actually her goal races. Technically, you only have to go and be second place in each of those, but if you do win those 4, plus you go and do the Satsuki Show as your 15,000 fan G1 and win that as well, you only need to add the Tenno Show Spring, which unfortunately is one of the hardest races to win because of its stamina requirement. But if you do that, you do get prepared to pass and up tempo and a pretty good reward in plus 10 all stats, which is gone and multiplied by race bonus. So it is a significant amount of stats to go and just add that Tenno Show Spring and to select your Satsuki Show. Prepared to pass is a very good pace chaser skill. It's primarily for these medium and long tracks where it's late race, of course. And up tempo is good on the medium tracks in general as some mid race. Prepared to pass is speed star. So in the situations where speed star is eaten because the final corner is too close, it has a little bit less value. Do note that. For her events and skills, just like Agnes Digital Halloween, her 3 events are very, very good. Now, I was corrected a little bit that these technically, I think, are scripted, and the first one seems like it's going to happen around Halloween, but still, honestly, getting charming status early in junior year, if it is true in junior year, seems very, very good. And of course, you have the option of getting all I've got. Your top-down option is some speed power, or all I got hints for your come what may. Now, if you're running medium and you're running Agnes Tachyon, you're most likely just grabbing the extra stats because you already have come what may when the career ends. Doto's Party Palace is just medium corners, good when it's medium. And finally, you do get some bonus energy on a bottom option or some Stam Guts in her final costume event. Remember, you are Meisho Doto. You do get Words of Aid, which is a top-down option for Tactical Tweak. At this moment, Tactical Tweak is very, very bad because you're in a position where you're not winning and you at best have Thunderbolt Step, which is like a 1 in 10. So I would not take this skill personally. Innate skills, you start out with On the Attack, which is the Agnes Tachyon Gold Unstoppables white version, so it's just good mid-race. You can put some hint books on it and discount your Agnes Tachyon stuff, right? And then you have mid-straights, which kind of completes the medium medium corners, medium straights, with right-handed, which is obviously good in right-handed tracks. The big thing about Meisho Doto that really, really helps this character is her gold skills are insane. You have Swinging Maestro. Swinging Maestro is an innate gold recovery, which is not on absolutely every single character. It's also notably not a Pace Chaser gold. It is just a everyone gold. So if you want to stretch her into different roles, you still have that gold recovery, and it's at good timing on pretty much every single track. The big one though is Neck and Neck. And Neck and Neck is a skill that's so powerful that we sometimes use power cards and guts cards in the future just to get it. Neck and Neck, of course, is just a random point in the first half of the late race, which means that pretty much on every single medium or shorter track, it's great timing. If it's on a short track, it's incredible timing. And even on those long tracks, it is still an option for acceleration. This, with the 7-1 buffs, has made characters like Taiki Shuttle Camping absolutely ridiculous just because they have Neck and Neck along with a late race unique. And if you notice with Meisho Doto, you have Neck and Neck and a late race unique. Although not as powerful as Taiki Camping, it is still very, very good to have this combo. And because she also has an innate gold recovery, she's kind of built for these longer tracks because you have the convenience of that, which allows more deck building flexibility to run better cards. And then you still have Neck and Neck as your Excel and that late race gold unique. For CM viability, really, it's not too much. Basically, the only thing you're looking for is that mids and long tracks normally have this spurt back. Like I said, the miles mostly have those a little bit too close, so you do get it at least partially eaten, if not fully eaten. So again, most of the medium tracks, which is most of the CMs in this game, you generally will be able to run her. But here's the deal, is that even on these mile tracks, even if you don't have exactly a unique, it is a disadvantage. You still have Neck and Neck, like I said, which means you can just run 3-2 light hello, and you have that advantage over the rest of the field. So you may want to go, and yes, it will 100% proc here. You cannot lake proc this unique. You may want to still consider, if you are a Meisho Doto Oshi player and you only have this version of Meisho Doto, she still has some life in these mile tracks, even if her unique is completely eaten, just because the advantage of Neck and Neck on these shorter tracks in particular. If you have base Meisho Doto and you're wanting to stretch her, I think that unique is a little bit better in the miles because it does give you acceleration on a pass, which is a pretty good combo to do with even the white version of the skill with head on. So that's all to take that into consideration for CM viability. That's my thoughts on the matter. To close it out for Affinity, yeah, it's Team Opera. Oh, come on. It's these two raced like every race together. So 35 with Team Opera. She has a bunch of other characters, but primarily the fact that she has Team Opera, which is a very good front half of the pack unique to inherit on her. She has Biwa Haihide, which is a very good front half of the pack unique, and she has Measure McQueen, which is a very good parent as well. She has so many options in the Pace Chaser department with very high affinity. It's going to be very easy to go and build her as an ace if you have any of these characters, or pretty much most of the Pace Chaser parents in general. For looping herself, she's not the greatest. The only thing that's really she has above everyone is that Neck and Neck allows you to kind of loop in head on. It is technically, I think, a tier 2 or a tier 3 skill for Pace Chasers at the moment because you can get it off of cards. But that is the little bit of convenience, and the Dirt E aptitude only needs to be raised, I think, 1 to consistently go and get wins in independent training, and you can just kind of leave it at E and you're generally fine. The only problem is that you really need to get this mile aptitude up to A, or at least B for independent training. So you have to maintain mile sparks in your loops, and then in order to go and keep that race matching going. So I don't think she's a particularly good core Lupa target. You might go and move it as just some like race matching and affinity matching later on to particularly go and try to loop back in head on right before you make your grandparents. I think that's really the niche that she has in it. But I wouldn't call this a premier looping target. So in conclusion, this Meisho Doto, perfectly fine Meisho Doto, a lot more consistency than the base because you don't have to combo it off of other things. It just kind of works in the medium and long tracks. Now, again, she has a debuff or unique. When they disable it in 4.5 anniversary or whatever, her unique will not work at all, but that's like 3 years worth of stuff, and it's not every single CM. I think this is a perfectly fine pace chasers. Pace chasers are a little bit tough in those medium and long tracks, and having neck and neck will certainly help with that, because that plus nimble nav will help you at least get some level of acceleration against these late surgers that are fighting with her. Again, this is a double banner, so if you like Agnes Digital, this is another reason to pull. The only question I really have is, why is she so scared? You know what? That's fair. Take care, everyone. Burb out.